thanking God for restoring our souls to us each morning. Shabbat Shalom. We're on page 74.
So this is Matavu, how good are your tents? And it says that we say the stuff even if we don't really feel it that day. That's what happened. The first time somebody said it, he wasn't feeling it at all. He was actually trying to curse the Jews, and this happened. And well, it's in the fake it till you make it vein, except that it comes out as blessing every single time.
Of our next blessing, which praises God for the wondrous ways in which our bodies work, I'd like to remind everybody that we need to have our masks on at all times indoors.
I think we're okay here, actually.
I think we are not.
Okay. On page 77. Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, sovereign of the universe. With divine wisdom you have made our bodies, combining veins, arteries, and vital organs into a finely balanced network. Wondrous maker and sustainer of life, were one of them to fail, how well we are aware, we would lack the strength to stand before you. Blessed are you, Adonai, source of our health and strength. Baruch atah Adonai, rofecho basar, umafli, la'asot. Page 78.
I'm going to wait till everybody has their masks on.
Let's keep going. Let's keep going.
Mm-mm. Thank you. I appreciate it. Eloi, Eloi, neshama, shenatah bi tehorai. Eloi, Eloi, neshama, shenatah bi tehorai. Ata berata, ata yitzarta, ata nefachta bi. Ve'ata meshamera, meshamra b'kirbi. Elohai, Elohai, neshama, shenatah bi tehorai. Blessings for daily miracles on page 80. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lesachdi bina lehavchin ben yom ve'layla. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, pokeach ivrim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, matir asurim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, zokef kefufim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, roka haaretz al hamayim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, amechin mitzadei gaver. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, malbish arumim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, anoten laya'ef koach. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hama'avir sheina me'enai u'tnuma me'af apai. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, she'asani b'tselem Elohim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, she'asani amchorim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, she'asani Yisrael. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, ozer Yisrael bigvura. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, oter Yisrael betifara.
On page 94, God made the world with words. We continue to speak, and each time we create.
Baruch she'amar v'haya ha'olam, Baruch hu, Baruch oseh v'reshit, Baruch omer ve'oseh, Baruch hozer u'mekayem, Baruch merachim al haaretz, Psalm for Shabbat on page 96. Mizmor shir leyom ha-Shabbat, Mizmor shir leyom ha-Shabbat, Tov lehodot l'Adonai, ulezamer l'shimcha elyon, להגיד בבוקר חסדך, ואמונתך בלילות, עלי עשור, ועלי נבל, עלי היגיון בכינון, להגיד בבוקר חסדך, ואמונתך בלילות, עלי עשור, ועלי נבל, עלי היגיון בכינון. צדיק כתמר יפרח, כארז בלבנון יזכה, בתולים בבית אדוני, בחצרות אלוהינו יפריחו. עוד ינון תסבח, דשנים ורעננים יהיו להגיד ישר אדוני, סורי אלוהיו לטובו. אשרי יושבי ביתך, עוד יהללו חסלה, אשרי העם שפחדו, אשרי העם שאדוני אלוהיו, אשרי יושבי ביתך, עוד יהללו חסלה, אשרי העם שפחדו, אשרי העם שאדוני אלוהיו. הללויה. 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 Page 100. כל הנשמה תהלליה, הללויה. כל הנשמה תהלליה, הללויה. הללויה.
page 105. You shall always be praised, great and holy God, our sovereign in heaven and on earth. Songs of praise and psalms of adoration become you, acknowledging your might and dominion. Yours are strength and sovereignty, sanctity, grandeur, and glory always. We offer our devotion. We open our hearts in acclamation.
Baruch atah Adonai El Melech Gadol V'Tzidkot El Haodaot Adon
Baruch Hu is on page 108. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, yotzer or uvarei choshech, osei shalom uvarei et hakol, hameir la'aretz v'ledarim aleha barachamim, u'tuvo mechadesh b'chol yom tamid ma'aseh v'reshit. Ma'arabu ma'asecha Adonai, kulam b'chochma asita, mala ha'aretz kinyanecha. Titbarach Adonai Eloheinu, al shevach ma'aseh yasedecha, v'al morei or she'asita, Arucha Selah. Or Chadash Otzion Te'ir V'nizkeh Kulanu Mehirala Oro Baruch Atah Adonai Yotzer HaMe'orot. In 113, love your neighbor as yourself, you said, and light blinded we saw, that inner and outer worlds are one, as you are one. You spoke and we wrote. We reached for you down the centuries, your light moving before us. As we climbed, fell back, and climbed again, your Sinai of life. Baruch atah Adonai, abocher b'amo Yisrael, Yahava.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Le'olam Va'ed.
Please be seated.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם, בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אדוני אלוהיכם, אמת.
Page 121. Emet, there is no place where you are not. Even the wilderness, there is your word. Emet, that pen strokes of lightning, white fire, black flame, stir the soul's passion, guide our sacred way. True and enduring is Torah. Your truth for us is certain and established, now and forevermore. Like Moses, Miriam, and all Israel, we sing out and rejoice.
Adonai אבותינו ואמותינו, אלוהי אברהם, אלוהי יצחק, ואלוהי יעקב, אלוהי שרה, אלוהי רבקה, אלוהי רחל ואלוהי לאה, האל הגדול, הגיבור והנורא, אל עליון, גומל חסדים טובים, וקונה הכל, וזוכר חסדי אבות ואימהות, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה. מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן, ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם בעזרת שרה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיה הכל אתה רב להושיע, משיב הרוח ומוריד הגשם, מכלכל חיים בחסד, מחיה הכל ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ברופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו משני עפר, מי כמוך בעל גבורות, ומיתו מלך ממית ומחיה, ומצמיח ישועה, נאמן אתה להחיות הכל, ברוך אתה אדוני, מחיה הכל. נקדש את שמך בעולם, כשם שמקדישים אותו, כשמרו הכתוב על יד נביאך, וקרא זה אל זה ואמר, קדוש, 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 אדוני צבאות, מלוך כל הארץ כבודו. אדיר אדירנו, אדוני אדוננו, אדיר שמך, אדיר שמך בכל הארץ. ברוך כבוד אדוני ממקומו. אחד הוא אלוהינו, הוא אבינו, הוא מלכנו, הוא מושיענו, והוא ישמיענו ברחמיו לעיני כל חי. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, ימלוך אדוני לעולם, אלוהי ציון, לדור ודור, הללויה. לדור ודור מגיגות לך, ולנצח נצחים קדושתך נקדיש. לשבחך אלוהינו, מבהינו לא ימוש לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה אדוני, האל הקדוש.
Please be seated.
Page 132. ישמחו במלכותך, שומרי 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 שבת, וקוראי שבת. ישמחו במלכותך, שומרי 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 שבת, וקוראי שבת.
for silent prayer. Our Torah service starts on page 244.
Rise in body or spirit. En kamocha Elohim Adonai, ve'en kemasecha, malchutecha malchut kol olamim, u'menshaltecha bechol dor v'dor. Adonai melech, Adonai malach, Adonai imloch, le'olam va'ed. Adonai oz le'amo yitin, Adonai yivarech et amo v'shalom. Av harachmim, heitiv v'irtzonecha et Zion. Tivne chomot Yerushalayim, tivne chomot Yerushalayim. Ki lecha levad batachnu, melech elrom v'nisa Adon olamim. Ki mitzion tetzeh Torah, ki mitzion tetzeh Torah, u'devar Adonai miYerushalayim. Baruch shenatan Torah, Baruch shenatan Torah, le'amo Yisrael b'kedushato. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai echad. Echad Eloheinu, Gadol Adonenu, Kadosh Shemo. Gadol Adonai iti, u'nerom ema Shemo yachdav. Lecha Adonai, Hagedula, Yagivura, Yativeret, Yanitza Ve'od, Kichol Vashamayim Uvaretz, Kichol Vashamayim Uvaretz, Lecha Adonai, Aman Lacham, Yamid Nasi, Echol Erod. Omenu Adonai Eloheinu ve'nishtachavu lehar kodsho. Omenu Adonai Eloheinu ve'nishtachavu lehar kodsho. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu romemu. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu romemu. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu ve'nishtachavu lehar kodsho. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu ve'nishtachavu lehar kodsho.
Our Torah portion this morning is from the portion Noach, the second Torah portion in our series in the book of Genesis. The story of Noah is, or the portion of Noah contains both, obviously, the story of Noah and the ark, but also the Tower of Babel. That begins on chapter 11, verses 1 through 9. Molly, the page number,
Page 69 in the Chumash.
page 69. And our Torah blessings are on pages 250 or so. Right? Let me do Delia. We'll all share it together. Baruch hu et Adonai hamvorach.
Baruch Adonai Barach Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai hamvorach le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech olam. Asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim. V'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten ha'torah.
Amen. Vayhi chol haaretz safa echat, ודברים אחדים. ויהי נסע מקדם, וימצאו בקעה, בארץ שנער וישבו שם. ויאמרו איש אל רעהו, הבה נלבנה לבנים, ונשרפה, ותהי להם הלבנה לאבן, והחמר היה לכם לחומר. ויאמרו הבה נבנה לנו עיר ומגדל בראשו בשמיים, ונעשה לנו שם פן נפוץ על פני הארץ. וירד אדוני לראות את העיר והמגדל אשר בנו בני אדם. ויאמר אדוני, הן עם אחד בשפה אחת לכולם, וזה הכילם לעשות, ועתה לא יבצר מהם כל אשר יזמו לעשות. הבה נרדה ונבלה שם שפתם אשר לא ישמעו איש שפת רעהו. ויפץ אדוני אותם משם על פני כל הארץ, ויחדלו לבנות העיר. על כן קרא שמה בבבל, כי שם בלן אדוני שפת כל הארץ, ומשם הפיצם אדוני על פני כל הארץ. All the earth had the same language and the same words. As they wandered from the east, they came upon a valley in the land of Shinar and settled there. Then people said to one another, "Come, let us make bricks and fire them hard." So they had bricks to build with, and tar served them as mortar. Then they said, "Come, let us build a city with a tower that reaches the sky, so that we can make a name for ourselves and not be scattered all over all the earth." Spoilers. Then the Eternal came down to look at the city and tower the people had built. And the Eternal One said, "Look, these are all one people with all one language, and this is just the beginning of their doings. Now no scheme of theirs will be beyond their reach. Let us go down there and confuse their speech, so that no one understands what the other is saying." So it came about that the Eternal scattered them over all the earth, and they stopped building the city. That is why it was called Babel, because there the Eternal confused the speech of all the earth, and from there the Eternal scattered them over the face of the earth.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torat emet v'chayei olam atah b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
With the Torah still out, we turn to the Misha Berach, our prayer for healing. It's on page 253. Here are these names before we share, and then invite you to share names if you have them as well. Ira Altschuler and Noam Ben Aviv, Lauren Bush, Frank Carl, Lou Salenzi, Alice Elias, Rose Ferraro, Jim Goldman, Ann Fahey, Lois Foreman, Hersha Goldman, John Hickson, Sam Kamen, Naum Kaplan, Natalie Klein, Susan and Ethel Kennedy, Lee Kramer, Jean Laga, Albert Lepre, Indasara Barchana Peril, Elaine Leskold, Mary Ann Linden and Malinger, Marlene Marcus, Edward Mims, Jim and Joanne Newman, Lev Podorovsky, Sally Seski, Jackie Student, Ellen Sykov, John Spear, Marcia Stewart, Amy Vogel, Lee Willis, Daniel Yosef, Ben Chaya. Other names from Misha Berach as well, please. Thank you. Carol? Thank you, please. Thank you. Did we cut you off? Thank you. Thank you. We join together. Bottom of the facing page, 252. We lift and dress the Torah. Once more, do I invite you, as you may be able, please rise.
וזאת התורה אשר שם משה לפני בני ישראל על פי אדוני ביד משה יאללה לילה לילה יאללה לילה לילה יאללה
Seated. With the Haftorah blessings and reading.
The Haftarah for Parshat Noach is from the book of Isaiah and can be found on page 85 in the Torah commentary. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bachar b'nbi'im tovim, ורצה בדבריהם הנאמרים באמת. ברוך אתה אדוני, הבוחר בתורה ובמשה עבדו, ובישראל עמו, ובנביא האמת בצדק. אני אקרא לו ילדה, פצחי רינה וצהלי, לא חלה, כי רבים בני שוממה, מבני ואולה אמר אדוני, הרחיבי מקום אוהלך, לראות משכנותייך, יטו על תשכוחי, העריכי מתרייך בתודייך, חזקי כי ימין ושמאל תפרוצי, בזרח גויים יירש, וערים נשמות יושיבו. אל תראו כי לא תבושי, ואל תקלמי כי לא תחפירי, כי בושת אלומייך תשכחי, וחרפת אלמנותייך לא תזכרי עוד, כי בוא עלייך עושייך אדוני צבאות שמו, וגואלך קדוש ישראל, אלוהי כל הארץ יקרא. כי כאישה עזובה ועצובת רוח קרח אדוני באשת נעורים, כי תימאס אמר אלוהיך, ברגע קטון עזבתיך, וברחמים גדולים אקבצך. בשצף קצף הסתרתי פניי רגע ממך, ובחסד עולם ריחמתיך, אמר גואלך אדוני, כי מנוח זאת לי, אשר נשבעתי מעבור מנוח עוד על הארץ, כן נשבעתי מקצוף עלייך ומגעור בך, כי ההרים ימושו והגבעות תמותנה, וחסדי מאיתך לא ימוש, וברית שלומי לא תמות, אמר ורחמך אדוני. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, צור כל העולמים, צדיק בכל הדורות, היה לנאמן האומר ועושה, המדבר ומקיים, שכל דבריו אמת וצדק, על התורה ועל העבודה ועל הנביאים ועל יום השבת הזה, שנתת לנו אדוני אלוהינו, בקדושה ולמנוחה, לכבוד ולתפארת. על הכל אדוני אלוהינו אנחנו מודים לך ומברכים אותך, יתברך שמך בפי כל חי תמיד לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה אדוני מקדש השבת.
Amen. Thank you. So I want to share some thoughts about the portion, the Tower of Babel is a curious story with which we're likely at least passingly familiar even before hearing Molly read it, albeit in the Hebrew, or chant it so beautifully in the Hebrew this morning. But it's a story in which clearly the activities of the people merit a punishment. That's how the story in those 9 verses unfolds. And ostensibly, it was, as described, either the intention of the community that was building this tower, they intend to make a name for themselves, acquire fame for their efforts, or it was a result of the behaviors, that is to say, the way in which they went about the building project and what they focused on and what they ignored, that has given insight into what it might have been that so merited their punishment. And it may have been as well the entire idea of engaging in something that was simply for the sake of deriving attention or for glory, as opposed to focusing on what's right in front of them. I couldn't help but be thinking of the sin of Babel, as it were, and make a connection with what we'll read in a few weeks' time about the sin of Sodom, such that Sodom and Gomorrah were destroyed and the populations therein. You may remember that the sin of Sodom in the Midrash, in the rabbinic tradition, is often understood to be that of conformity or enforcing behaviors such that everyone was, in the Greek idiom, akin to being on the Procrustean bed. If you remember the story of Procrustes, Procrustes was the character in mythology who was strapped to a bed, a stretching bed, or a bed that would push your bones in together so that literally everyone is of the same measure. That is to say, when you're put on the rack and you're stretched out, the idea is that everyone would be the same thereby, at least physically. That's the imagery that's created, and it suggested that that was the sin of Sodom. That is to say that everyone conspired to do ill to visitors, or everyone conspired to behave in a certain way that was abnormal. There was a groupthink. There was a conspiracy of mob mentality. It seems that something is akin to going on similarly in the town of Bavel, in the Tower of Babel story, wherein, according to the Midrash, everyone is so focused on either that which that will redound to them for their efforts, or that which will come to them. In one of the rabbinic commentaries, it suggests that as the tower went higher and higher, the people were competing for seeing who could be the first to lay the brick on the next level up. That is to say, as it begins to ascend higher, the honor of being able to lay the first brick on the next level was more important than the people around them. And the story goes on to describe that as the tower climbed towards the sky, when a brick would fall, the effort was required to get it that high would cause them to weep and to grieve for the loss of a brick. But when someone fell to their death, no one muttered a word. The idea being, it's a bit of a hyperbolic midrash, a bit of an exaggeration one might imagine, and yet we know ways in which in our own day we may sacrifice people for bricks, or we may focus on the wrong thing as opposed to the people. And when we begin to think as a group in that way, and we don't broker differences of opinion or a plurality of ideas or approaches, we lose sight of what this is really all about, what we're doing here, creating projects together, engaging in the work of creation, but we need the multiplicity and diversity of how that goes. I want to share with you something I shared with the Torah study group. If you look on page 124 in the prayer book, you'll see at the top of that page the name given to this particular series of prayers. It goes by a number of names, this section of the liturgy. One is Amidah, refers to standing. La'amod is to stand. Others refer to it as Avot ve'imahot, the patriarchs, perhaps the matriarchs. Here on page 124, we see at the top of the page the word is tefillah. Tefillah is a word which means prayer. But it titles this particular prayer because in the Talmud, in the rabbinic imagination, this was the central prayer of Jewish worship. What made it so central? It was the idea that each of our patriarchs and each of our matriarchs, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Sarah, Rebecca, Rachel, and Leah, each of them had their own relationship with God. Not that they had different gods, but rather they had their own understandings, and room was made for those different understandings, different theologies, in much the same way as there's no theological litmus test in Judaism that we all must believe or affirm the same thing, but rather we're engaged in the same type of quest to determine that which will be good, high, holy, and worthy of our attention and our veneration. And so too does Judaism propose, as in theology, so too in behavior generally. It's the differences of opinions and the differences of approaches and understandings, and indeed the different languages, which is the Tower of Babel story speaks about. It gives us a better and wider perspective and the ability to create more for everyone. Shabbat Shalom. We turn back in our prayer books as we prepare to return the Torah to the Ark. We're looking together on page 256. And once more do I invite you, as you may be able, as we lift the Torah, for you to rise in body or spirit as well.
Yehalenu et Shem Adonai, iniskav Shemo levado, Odo aretz v'shamayim, vayarem keren le'amo, Tehillah lechol chasidav, Nivnei
As you're able, won't you remain standing as we turn to 282 and there find in the middle of the page the text for Aleinu.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצא בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא, שהוא נוטה שמיים ויוסר ארץ, ומושב יקרו בשמיים ממעל, ושכינת עוזו בגובי מרומים. הוא אלוהינו אין עוד, אין את מלכנו אפס זולתו, ככתוב בתורתו, וידעת היום והשיבות אל לבבך, כי אדוני הוא האלוהים בשמיים ממעל, ועל הארץ מתחת אין עוד. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד.
Page 294, we have the Kaddish. We remember now Judith Judy, Cohen Kalaman, Freddie Fu, Howard Hanna, Earl Latterman, Jim McKenna, Natalie Newman, Levander Payne, Todd Rasco, Shirley Shepman, Somia Srinivasan, Norman Weisenbaum. We remember also Bertha Broff-Rosen, Bessie Broskoff, Florence Kalaman, Edward Elmer, Shulin Hammerstein, Dorothy Kamen, Tess Karsh, Marion Cart, Stuart Goodman, Phyllis Ginsberg, Telly Grossman, Mildred Plack, Rochelle Rosenfeld, Rosalind Rosenblum, Bertram W. Roth, Mildred Rubenstein, Harold Spindell, Matthew Shepard, Audrey Strauss, Albert Verbitz, Louise Waxler, Milton Wurtzman, Herman Yamron. We're mindful as well of the 80th anniversary of the massacre of more than 100,000 at Babi Yar. There are other names, remember. Yes, thank you. We join together. Yitkadal, Yitkadash, Shemei Rabbah.
Amen.
V'alma divra chirutei v'yamlich malchutei. V'chayechon v'yomechon. V'chayei dechol Beit Yisrael. V'agala uvizman kari v'imru.
Amen.
Yehei Shmei Rabbah Mavarach le'olam olmei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitba'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh. Vitadar, vitale, vitalal. Shmei de kudsha.
Berichu.
Laela min kol berchata v'shirata, tushbachata v'nechamata, da'amiran bi'alma, v'imru.
Amen.
Yehi shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chaim aleinu v'kol Yisrael, v'imru. Amen.
Amen.
Osei shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu v'kol Yisrael, v'imru.
Amen.
Amen. May the one who creates harmony on high bring peace to us, to all Israel, to all the world. And we say it together. Amen. Please be seated.
Oseh shalom bimromav, hu yaseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imru. Amen.
Our announcements are few. I'm not even sure what they are. Do we have announcements coming up? I don't know.
That I know of.
Nothing really. Immediately, our service will conclude with our sharing Ein Keloheinu. It's on page 322. Thereafter, we'll share our blessings, and we'll go on our way. My gratitude to Molly for Torah reading, for the music, for the Haftorah. Greg, to you, and to Don as well for the music, and to each and every one of you for sharing this Shabbat morning together. We conclude with Ein Keloheinu 322. Adonenu, Baruch Malkeinu, Baruch Moshienu, Atau Adonenu, Atau Malkeinu,
Atau Malkeinu, Atau Moshienu. Veshameru b'nei Yisrael et hashabbat, la'asot et hashabbat לדורותם ברית עולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל אותי לעולם לעולם. ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ, וביום השביעי שבת וינפש. על כן ברך אדוני את יום השבת ויקדשהו. סברי חבריי, ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, בורא פרי הגפן. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, המוציא לחם מן הארץ. There's lots of color.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom, Timmy.
Shabbat Shalom, Jay. Shabbat Shalom, everybody. Joni, Linda.
Shabbat Shalom, everybody. Joni, good to see you here, Joni. You can speak. Woof, woof.
Shabbat Shalom, Jay.
Unmute.
Shabbat Shalom.
The service finally made it.
Yes, you
That's
did.
good.
What?
That's a nice old man, KP, yeah. Everybody's done. All right, I can set up.
Shabbat Shalom, Peter.
Bye.
Bye, Peter.
Bye, Tim, Jay.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Is that Bill? Rabbi Bart, keep smiling.
Everybody.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye.
Bye, Bonds.
Bye.
I'm shutting
How's
it down.
Buzzy?
See you next week.
Joni, how's Buzzy?
He's good. He's,
Tell him to get home.
he hasn't come home yet. He hasn't flied. When I mentioned it, he's not real excited about the idea. Jim was here for a few days.
Yeah.
On Tuesday. He came in
Where is
Sunday.
Buzzy?
Huh?
Where
Weinberg
is
Village.
Buzzy?
Where is he?
Weinberg Village?
He's still at Weinberg Village, yeah.
Is that where?
And
Is that where Les is?
No, Les is in Weinberg
Weinberg
Terrace
Terrace. Right. Okay.
on Bartlett Street.
Yeah. Okay.
Did he
Buzzy's up
move there?
above,
Yeah. He moved there.
Oh, I
Les
didn't
just
know.
moved there a week ago Monday.
I was
Yeah.
going to say, it must have been fairly recent.
Yeah,
He likes it. He likes it there, Tim.
yes, he does.
Well, that's
I've talked to him.
Bye.
I've talked